All right. All right, folks. I hope this is streaming properly. Welcome to the SEO Science Show. My name is Josh Krasinski. Today we have a very exciting show for you today. We're going to be interviewing here Rene, who had a major win in SEO. He's one of my students in my mentorship group. Hi, Rene. How you doing?
Hey Josh, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. So Rene has had a major win in SEO. He is in the process of selling a site for 0.5 million euros.
Correct.
Half a million euros, which in American is, I don't know, what, 0.6 million American, 0.7 million American or something like that.
Yeah,
Canadian, it's like a lot. It's even more. It's probably like $1 million Canadian. So I just wanted to interview Rene to talk about how he did it and what, in general, kind of tactics he used. He used our science-based tactics of a group. And I want to talk a little bit about, what's involved in selling a site like that, the pros and cons, and how you could still make money in SEO, even though everyone else says SEO is dead and people are leaving the industry. They just don't know really what they're doing, and they don't have the science-based tactics that we do. And so we're going to talk about that. I'm just going to go over here to YouTube to make sure that we're actually streaming. Yes, it looks like we are. Woohoo! Okay. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, by all means, ask them in the of either Rene or myself. Please ask them here in the live chat. You should see that on YouTube on the right-hand side. And go ahead and ask us any SEO questions you want. And we'll try to answer as best we can. Let me just see if I could share this really quickly. Is there a share button here somewhere? There's every other kind of button. Share, there we go. I'll share this on Twitter. And I'll share this. Now, when you're making videos, you should always share it so that somebody can see it somewhere or something. And I'll share this on a page I manage, like this one here. There we go. Okay, so guys, if you have questions, please ask them on the right-hand side. Otherwise, let's get right to the interview here. So 0.5 million euros, that's a lot of money. What kind of, could you just give us your story, a little bit of background about what kind of SEO you were doing before the group and kind of how you got into the group, and we'll take it from there.
Sure. So basically, I started the website on the side. I had a payroll job in television. I worked at Discovery for 5 years and had a good salary, but I live in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and it's quite expensive there. So when my girlfriend got pregnant, we needed more money. So
Okay.
I was looking around, how to make an extra buck. So I found out that you can make money making websites. I did just that, and I did look at the topics. I didn't really care about doing something I liked. I looked only at the highest affiliate commissions. So I looked at them, and I found out that if you have a site, a financial site about brokers, about loans, all that stuff, like NerdWallet, then you have a really solid base for making a lot of money if you do everything right. So I started this site in 2015, and then basically after a few months, a few hundred euros trickled in, and then after that, a few thousands, and then more. So when it comes to SEO, in that time, I just Googled stuff, and then you always land on these big so-called Google SEO experts, and the Neil Patels of this world, the Brian Deans, and they give you some sort of an understanding what SEO is. And back in 2015, I must say, compared to now, there was so much more possible. At the moment, Google has locked out so many SEOs that are doing still the stuff from back in the day.
Yeah.
And so that's also what hurt me in the end, because my site got hit by the November update from 2019. And then basically, everything sort of started crumbling down, and all the money I made was suddenly yeah, vanished.
Right.
So
How much money was your site making at that time per month?
um, a little bit between 15 and 20K a month.
And this
So
is
it was,
euros.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, close to like 22 K in dollars. And for a Dutch site, it's a lot because Holland, we're a speck on the world. If you compare us to France or
Mm-hmm.
Germany or even the United States or Canada, we're
Yeah.
nothing. So in terms of volume, I had like only, I think, 3,000 visitors a day,
Wow.
but they were converting like crazy because
Wow. Yeah.
um, I had like in the end, especially after I was in the group for a while, I had like the whole setup and the design. I had it so sort of so right, and
Yes.
everything converted really well.
The streamlined. Yeah. Conversions. Yeah. CRO is important. No
Yeah.
matter what you're doing, you have to have the CRO, whether you have paid traffic or organic traffic. That's definitely important. So then you got hit by the November update. Tell us a little bit about we call that the anti-SEO update because our scientific testing we noticed a lot of specific kind of algorithms specifically targeted to go after SEOs. Can you tell us a little bit about the ranking drops and what kind of you observed on your site and what happened?
So first of all, I got a heart attack almost.
Yeah.
I saw the rankings drop like before I went to sleep, so it
Uh-oh.
was really bad.
Not a good way to go to bed. Yeah.
No, a lot of stress.
Right.
But to be honest, I did not know what the cause was because it was super, new, and
Mm-hmm.
the whole update, nobody was talking about it because it just happened.
Yeah.
So I was just in the dark basically. So I was looking around, looking at what like other experts were saying, and yeah, everything was just guessing. Everybody said something different. So it was almost impossible for me to fix it because I did not know where to start. And so yeah,
How much?
that's
Yeah.
basically.
How much can you rely on those other SEOs and their recommendations in a situation like that?
Well, to start, it's difficult, because I think they are also making assumptions. They're also guessing, so they never know for sure.
Right.
They don't do the science. So if you don't do science, it's always a guess, and that's something that I figured out later, of course. But when it all happened, I think a week later, I sort of decided it had to be something to do with the backlinks,
Mm.
because I saw a lot of SEOs talking about bad backlink profiles. So
Backlinks. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. So I'm not sure what software I bought, but I bought like some tool that was super expensive to disavow specific
Oh
backlinks,
no!
and it
Oh
was
no!
it was a tedious, expensive job that did not do
Probably
anything.
link research tools. Link research tools. That's the most expensive one.
Yeah, Link Detox, I believe. Link
Yeah,
Detox, it
link.
was
That's
called.
theirs. Yeah, link. That's link research tools.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's out of
yeah,
Germany.
yeah. I also researched into those guys, and it seemed okay, but eventually it didn't do anything. So I was still like in the dark.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. The state of the industry, even 10 years ago, was terrible. But now it's just if you don't have science and know what you're doing, the saddest thing is that all these other SEOs they prey on people like you who I mean that's really stressful for you. You had a baby on the way. You want to make some extra money. You needed extra money. You're making this extra money. You're happy. Your partner's happy. And then, the site goes down. You have to explain to them, what's going on, and hopefully they're understanding that the SEO industry is can be very risky, especially when the most people are just guessing, and they don't say they're guessing. They say it like it's truth, like they know what they're talking about. And these other SEOs like Mary Haynes or these other white hat SEOs who are really tight with Google doesn't tell them that much, and so they don't really know that much. Bill Slawski doesn't know that much. All these guys who've known The gypsy doesn't know that much. I mean, he's a great guy, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't really know that much, right? They're still
Yeah.
guessing. They're all just guessing. They don't do science. They have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about the quality of different kinds of science later on, but yeah, so it's terrible. It's just awful and terrible. Let's see if we have any questions yet here in the chat. Darren says, JB, hey Darren, how you doing? Michael says hello, hey, how you doing? Kimberly asks, what do you think this new Google update will be? Okay, I'll answer it now. Why not? So I don't know what Google update you're talking about, but so this November update that Rene and I are talking about. Now we've seen that in the group happen month after month after month. They've reiterated it, they've changed it, they've reiterated it, they changed it, and then all of a sudden BERT came out. So that's not an accident, right, Kimberly? You really got to kind of pay attention to, Google lies. They lie specifically. They drop 4 or 5 things in at the same time. They don't talk about it, and then suddenly BERT's here. You think they didn't test that, along the way. At first when they dropped BERT, it was only 10% of queries. Now it's 100% of queries. If you don't understand BERT, you're in a huge trouble. BERT is a transformer algo, kind of like GPT-3, which is the sister algorithm from OpenAI. If you don't understand how the transformation is occurring, if you don't understand what's doing there, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble, and it's going to be very difficult for you to do any SEO. Period, because you're going to be focusing on the wrong thing. You're going to be listening to these SEOs, and they're going to be talking about backlinks. So they have no idea. They have no idea what's going on. So backlinks has been popular for what is this, 2009? Like why? Google is barely using backlinks as a signal at all anymore. It's been so long since that's been the major thing. So, but SEOs don't know. SEOs don't care. They just sell snake oil, and that's a super sad thing. So you ask, what do I think this new Google update will be? It'll be related along the things we're working on. It'll be rated on BERT. It'll be rated on those kinds of things. So yeah, it's really important to get into a science group that knows exactly what's going on. We're going to talk about the science groups that you can join a little bit later. Mickey says, great live video. Great, Mickey, I'm glad you like it. If you have any questions, please ask them there on the right-hand side. So let's get back to Rene. So the huge crash happened. That's terrible. You must have just been gobsmacked. It's a terrible kind of scenario. And then you went looking for help and found nothing but the SEOs telling you to do backlinks. You did the disavow, paid a lot of money to get the link detox, and nothing happened, which is, that's just, I can feel it right here, how bad that sucks. Then tell us what happened next.
Well, I'm not sure how, but I think I listened to some sort of a podcast somewhere, and the person was speaking about you. So I can't remember anymore. So long ago.
Probably saying bad things.
No, it was good. It was a really positive thing. Yeah, it was one. This guy, he said, Josh Baczynski is the only guy who is actually like measuring all the stuff. So I was like, yeah, but that's exactly what I need. So then I sort of tried to look you up, because I haven't heard of you before. When I looked you up, I found your site, but it took me, a while to sign up, because for me it was, some money to spend.
Right.
And after spending the tool, money on the tool and losing a lot of money from the tanking website,
right,
I was a bit reluctant to just sign up immediately.
Yeah.
So then I emailed you, and eventually I signed up, and it was like when I entered the group, it's like you are like overwhelmed with a lot, so much information.
Yeah, it's different information, right?
Yeah, different information that I had like to digest it for a week or so. It was
right.
Like,
yeah,
it was so comprehensive and so detailed and different. That's also what you always said. You have to like throw everything you know about SEO out of your head,
completely.
Rethink everything.
Yes.
And that was quite difficult, but after a week or so or two, I got the hang of it, or I just understood how you were thinking and how your tests go, because the tests, they really, tell a lot. So yeah, from that point onwards, I just started thinking about, from all the site, or how do you call it, all the verticals you have, where shall I start, because it was like a big task for me. So I basically thought, I'm gonna start with the website itself, the stuff
Mhm.
I have under control.
Yeah.
So the internal, so basically the content, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one. It's good that you went back to your finance site because you already had it ranking, and it's
Yeah.
just one algorithm doesn't like it now, right? One or two algorithms don't like it. Think of it this way: if Google has 200 algorithms running, and you make a new site, none of those algorithms like your site. None of them. None of them are
No.
giving you a thumbs up, right? If you've got a site that's already ranking and then something hits it, there's only one algorithm probably, really mean algorithm, but one algorithm that's like, nope. And the rest think you're fine because you got there. You got to page one. So a lot of people, they want to start with a brand new site because that was the way it used to work with links back in the day. Links were this, they thought links were toxic. That's never been true. That's never been the case. There's no scientific proof to show that in any way, shape, or form. That's just what Chris Kemper of Link Detox wants you to think. So he can sell you snake oil and make a lot more money. And he makes a lot of fucking money, right? That douchebag. And based on absolutely nothing, no science whatsoever. Some correlative study, which was complete bullshit, complete cause correlation fallacy. And so it's a lot of people ditch their site and try to start something new, and they might even have a bad taste in their mouth. They don't even try another finance site, which they know worked and made a lot of money and had good conversions. And obviously, you found a safe and reputable enough affiliate program to do it, which is a whole nother ball game, right? I know plenty of affiliate companies that have just not paid out. They just don't bother paying their commissions. So you got to find reputable affiliate companies. You got to find something that people want. You got to find something that has good, decent commission. You got to find something that will pay out, and then you have to rank the site on it. So you made the right decision going back to the niche you knew, and there's just one or two algorithms that are not cool, that are new, or Google just tweaked, and you just have to find out what that is. But you have to know that through science, right? There's no way you can guess.
No.
People have no idea what Google is up to. Google was up to this fancy AI entity stuff in 2009, like way back even before Panda came out and Penguin came out. They were playing with this stuff, and they made the conscious decision that SEOs were gaming their algorithms too easily, and they're now on a 10-year campaign to confuse the hell out of us, and it's worked, right? SEOs are so confused; they have no idea what's going on. Google is that good at keeping the secret and is that good at obfuscating things and talking around in circles that people don't understand what the hell is going on. And now that the AIs, there's a couple of AIs making decisions as to how it's going to rank. Even the humans are like, I don't know, why did it rank that? I don't know, right? Even people at Google are like, I don't know why I did that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have
the funny thing is that we had the court hearings that Google had to sort of tell more than they are doing at the before.
Yes.
And they sort of revealed quite a lot of stuff that
Yes.
we in the group already knew.
Yeah.
And all the other guys, including me, like 5 years ago, didn't know at all. So, and
Yes.
all that stuff is from like 10 years ago. So
Yes.
it's crazy how long they are just doing this. It's bizarre.
Yes, yeah, I was pissed off. I'm like, no, shut up, Google.
Yeah.
we know these things because I've tested it. I know it from the other end of doing science and then having a grand unified theory of science and doing science in such a way that I have a program that provides more knowledge as opposed to, is keyword density a factor? Like that's not science, right? That's Mythbusters. That's not science, right? Science has a unified theory, a program of, it's not just one test that tells you something about on page, it's 50 tests that tell you the picture of on page. And you're like, okay, now I understand the AI, how it works and what to do and blah, 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 blah. And then once you have that understanding, when they make a change, you're like, oh, I see, they just changed this. Make another change. Oh, they just changed this. It was a big change from RankBrain to BERT in the group. When Google switched from RankBrain primary rankings to BERT primary rankings, which they did very recently, but they've been testing the whole time, right? And that was a big, huge change that we've now recently got major boosts going on now. But okay, so let's go back to the questions here, see if we got any. Google won't allow you to force a crawl on your site due to an update. Oh, that update, yeah. I don't. They've already done the update, Kimberly. I don't know if you noticed, but Google lies. And when they said they were taking it down just for a little while for bullshit reasons, that was the update. I highly doubt they're going to bring it back. The fetch button, I highly doubt they're going to bring back. So you've got to learn sitemap XMLs pretty well. And there's also some other little tricks that we learned in the group that you need to learn about how to get pages indexed. It's not index inject. It's not any of those third-party systems. It's not any of those third-party tools. None of that bullshit. You have to join the group to understand scientifically how that's working. And then there was some other Google stuff that came out recently. Watch the Google. If you're not going to join the science group, all you can do is if you forgive the foul language, suck Google's dick all day. All you can do is listen to their podcasts, listen to all the things they put out, and listen and hang on every word and try and decide based on what they said, possibly what they could mean, and read every single patent. That's like a 2 or 3 person full-time job, by the way. You'll need a team of researchers of 2 or 3 people to be able to even give you 50% correct idea of what's going on there. But you got to pay attention to that stuff. But once you have the scientific knowledge and you listen to what Google's saying, you're like, oh yes, I know exactly what he's saying because I know how it works, right? So I can read between the lines of what he's saying. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, rank brain, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, he's talking about vector, proximity, sure, fine, blah, 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 blah. They don't do that anymore. So I can now freely talk about it. For years, we knew that vector was the thing, as Rene will attest, and that has to do with word proximity, right? First, they did LSI, which is just the words are somewhere in the same document. Then they did TF-IDF. The words are in the same document, but comparatively speaking, compared to all the other documents, these ones appear together, these ones don't. Then they moved to vector, which is the words are proximal to each other, close to each other. And now they've moved to something else entirely. That's not rank brain at all. I mean, they still have rank brain running for new queries they don't understand that BERT hasn't been trained on because it's an AI that has to be trained, right? I don't know how many data points BERT is trained on, but just as a point of fact, GPT-3, its closest cousin, if you will, that is run by a rival company, OpenAI, it's been trained on 175 billion data points. So it has 175 billion connections of words of how they go together and patterns. BERT's going to have even more than that because BERT's been trained on the entire internet, and that has, at last count, like 430 trillion pages, and each page has, 500 to 1,000 words or whatever it is. So you can only imagine how many word patterns BERT is trained on, and you're going to just guess at that? It's impossible. You'll be struck by lightning 10 times before you can guess what this thing is doing, right? So just the raw numbers, even people at Google couldn't guess. Like they have to keep tight reins on BERT. And so if you're not doing scientific experiments for a grand unified theory to kind of understand what's going on there, you're not going to be able to know what's going on. And this is the kind of knowledge that Rene was able to use to great effect, and we'll get to in a second. So to answer your question there, Kimberly, you're never getting it back. You're never going to get back the fetch tool. I strongly doubt they'll ever give it back to you. Paul L. confirms that he has that current problem that his affiliate company won't pay out. It's a multi-million-dollar company too. It's incredibly frustrating. He built lots of pages, links to their site, drove them thousands in business, and still nonsense email responses with them. That's too bad. Yeah, you really got to do good research to make sure that the affiliate company you're dealing with is reputable. It really is difficult. Ebby says, what do you suggest? Where is the group? I can't figure out why my traffic dropped in May. Okay, I can tell you exactly why your traffic dropped in May. It's BERT. That's the reason why. And it's one of these BERT updates that they've done quite recently. So if you want to join the group, everybody email me. I'll put my email in the chat, joshbachensky@gmail.com. If you want to figure out how to combat BERT and how to optimize for it, you can't combat BERT, sorry. If you want to learn how to optimize for it, email me at joshbachensky@gmail.com. I'm having a special right now, a COVID special. Usually the group is $300 a month. I'll let you in for $244 per month. Only for right now, so get it while it's hot. So we'll go back to Rene here. Okay, so Rene. So you finally found the science group you wanted to be part of. That's also a good move, looking for something that's measuring and has science. And you joined the group. And when you joined the group, you were overwhelmed by the crazy information. Would you say it's safe and fair to say that I'm saying stuff and I'm discovering stuff in our group that absolutely nobody else talks about? Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, definitely. yeah. So I've never haven't seen that kind of testing and that kind of sort of making conclusions anywhere else. No.
and and that is probably both good and bad, right? It's good because you don't want to join my group and see that I'm just talking about PBN link networks and if this and that link stacks and bullshit like that everybody else is talking about. If you had joined the group and saw that I've been talking about that kind of bull crap that doesn't work and is totally snake oil,
Yeah.
how disappointed would have you have been, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
mean,
I think it's also good to say that if you do start join the group, you need to be a smart person because I can understand that if you are sort of I don't know I'm not sure what to say, but
right.
if you're not so smart, I think it's difficult for you to get along because it's really sort of detailed and scientific. So
Yeah, yeah,
you need to be able to digest all the information. So
yeah.
I think everybody who is into making websites, understanding code a bit should be fine. But it's not for like the simple people.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, that's a totally fair thing to say, and I've been
Yeah,
saying, and I don't want people to waste their money, and I don't want them to waste their time. I'm here to try to help people, and like if you just have a grade 10 education or something like that, this might not be the industry for you. Google has made, everyone thinks SEO is easy because they're reading blog articles from 10 years ago where all you had to do was buy links and put your keyword in the title. It's way more complicated than that now. And understanding what Google is doing is way more complicated than that now. So I don't want people to waste their money. I don't want them to send me money and be like, oh no, it was the wrong thing. I want long-term students. That's why I have a process where I kind of interview the students and figure out what your STEM knowledge is, your science, technology, engineering, or math knowledge is. You don't have to have a degree to join, but you do have to be kind of a self-learner, as Rene's saying. You have to be an autodidact. You have to know how to Google stuff and find information for yourself. And it's a teach you to fish group. I'm not going to spoon feed you, but I do tell you exactly what you need to do. But then you need to listen, right? You can't be half listening to the orientations because then you'll miss something and you'll be like, what is he talking? You have to go back and listen to it again, which is fine. You could do that, and lots of students have. But yeah. So there's a support group there to help you out if you have the wherewithal to do it. But it is not going to be simple. It's not going to be. You can't do it on autopilot because it's not the same rehashed garbage everyone else is talking about. And that's the bad news, is that there's a huge learning curve when you join the group. Google has made it this way. It's not my fault. Google has made it this complicated. I explained to you exactly how it's working to the best of my knowledge based on what I've scientifically tested. And they've made it complex on purpose, right? Because they're trying to weed us out. But that's also a good thing because the more they weed out other SEOs, the more room there is for us who know what we're doing to make a lot of money, right? So yeah. So there's the silver lining there. I think it's a positive thing. If that the barrier to entry has been moved way up from like grade 10 education, it's moved way up to you have to be pretty clever and you have to know your HTML, know your CSS, know your JavaScript, know how to manipulate WordPress, and or whatever platform you're on, and be able to kind of understand scientific concepts and things like that, or at least be able to understand and be able to pay attention very well and take good notes. But once that's done, then Rene, so tell us, without giving away any of our secret tactics, if you can, tell us kind of what you discovered when you went in the group, what you thought kind of in general was wrong with the site, and then kind of what you did to revive your site to the point where eventually you could sell it for €500,000.
Well, I basically started with the on-page part first, and the titles. I looked at everything. So basically, at the time you gave recommendations for all, everything, all positions in your site. So basically, if you have an article, you give recommendations for the titles, for the content, for images, everything that's possibly on your site,
Mm-hmm.
including incoming, outgoing links, everything. So I was sort of figuring out where I would start. And for me, I wanted to start with one thing first instead of doing everything, because then I couldn't really isolate what the problem was.
Right.
So then I first started with the titles. So I left the on page, basically all the content I left the same, and I started like fiddling with titles on one specific page, and then I started to fiddle with the content on another page.
Mm-hmm.
So I used different pages for different um, changes, and
That's
then
good. That's good.
yeah, but everything was like field based, so nothing was single variable tested.
Yes.
So that also made it a little bit murky.
Yes.
But eventually I sort of figured out that it was not one thing. I think it was like a combination of things.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, that's sort of my belief. I believe that at some point you can sort of trigger something at Google
Mm-hmm.
where they think that you are doing bad in 2, 3, or 4 things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not 100% sure. But eventually, the whole vector part helped me
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and I basically suddenly I saw I saw the light. I was like, whoa, this is working.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to try it out on another page, and then I saw also, I believe Eric it was, doing all sorts of crazy tests.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah.
Like I think 10 pages or 10 sites he made were suddenly like rallying, and then we sort of figured it out on that specific vector.
Yeah,
part.
using our special GCA tool.
Yeah, it worked really well. Yeah,
As our secret GCA tool. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I just rolled it out like site wide.
Mm-hmm.
And that brought the site back pretty quick.
What do you mean on page is a thing? But Google tells us that on page is not a thing. That there's nothing you can fix. There's nothing you can change there.
Yeah, that's so crazy because Google, they're not saying it. And one thing when it comes to backlinks, I have when you're in the finance industry on your site, you get so many spam links because you have all these Russians and all these guys who want to sort of bring you down.
Yeah.
And eventually I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I was like, let it go. So I let them make the bad backlinks. I didn't care. And every time I looked at my backlink profile, I had another 100 porn links or 100 gambling links.
Good for you.
So,
link juice.
So somebody was trying to bring me down, but it didn't help because Google found out, and that's also the good side of Google. They figure out that those are spam links, so you don't have to disavow them, you don't have to spend a lot of money. So basically, sticking to the site itself, helped me a lot.
Yeah, so I love that. Yeah. Wow, on page is a thing. Google says it's not a thing. Google says you can't fix it. They are a bunch of fucking liars. Anything that they say is more or less a lie. Don't listen to a word they say. Oliver says, "Hey Josh, it seems like Google's quality systems are somehow in contact with their geolocation algorithms. Do you think that's the case?" No. Not directly. Google's quality systems are not directly related to their geolocation algorithm. Google works on a 2-sort system. So the first sort is a basic content analysis. They rank and sort based on page, on a content analysis. And they do that processing even before you're indexed. They do that processing before they even go and bother to crawl you. The first crawl, the first instance of them seeing you, they're already doing this content analysis, this BERT transformer content analysis to see if you're even worth indexing in the first place. Geolocation doesn't happen until several steps down the road. Let's say you pass the indexing and crawling stage, then you get to the ranking and sorting stage, the sort. So if I type in something in Google, blah, the first thing it comes back with, not that I see, but internally, the first thing it comes back with sort 1. It sorts all the shard, they used to call it the shard collection. It's the collection of, they might call it again because now with BERT, they're going to be ranking sections soon. I don't know if Rene, if you noticed that. So they're going to sort the shards based on the information of the transformer algorithm of what the AI thinks is the good answer for what you typed in. And then all the QDD, query deserves diversity algorithms in sort 2 are going to kick in. And they're going to start moving things around based on personalization, based on geolocation, based on design, based on content, based on code, based on content types, based on other things that I'm pissed off at Google because we've known about Aspect for years before Google announced it. Then Google recently announced that Aspect is a thing. And I'm like, shut up, Google. you're giving away more of my knowledge. Shut up. So that's they're going to do a sort 2. That's what Aspect happens in QDD and sort 2 as well there. So no. And then even after that, the quality algorithms kick in as part of, they're implemented, I think, in sort 1, part of sort 1, when they do a core algorithm update. They're refined in sort 2. And so they have a very complex a quality system that's working like that, but it doesn't connect to geolocation directly in any way. Geolocation will indirectly affect your quality, or your quality, geolocation will indirectly affect your quality, sadly. So you can manipulate that in Search Console. You can still select the country you want to be in. And you can tell BERT more information about your locations. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Unless you don't want to be location related. If you want to be location related, mentioning on your page would not be a bad idea. All the pages, somewhere, anywhere. If you don't want to be location related, then not mentioning it anywhere would be a good thing for sure. All right, guys, if you have more questions for Rene or myself, please go ahead and ask that here in the chat on YouTube. Okay, and so then after you did all this work, Rene, what was the net effect? How long did it take you to build your site back up from the major hit?
Well, I think it took me like a few months to get all the content fixed, basically, because it was sort of, everything had to be also shortened a bit. Everything was too long. Sometimes, all the SEOs, they talk about you need like 2,000, 3,000 words or 10,000 words. And that was ridiculous. So I had to sort of...
No one likes reading that. No user likes reading that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I figured it out. But then again, you have to sort of go through the whole content with like real eyes. And it's difficult.
Yes. Yeah. It takes time.
It takes a lot of time. So after, I think, 2-3 months, I started to come back in the rankings. So then I saw this pretty big boost, and Google was trying me out. That's always what you say. They're trying you out. So they brought me back on a few top 3 spots.
Awesome.
But then something happened. For some pages, I was sort of thrown back into like position 8 and 9. And I didn't understand why. So that's like the second phase I was in. I had to sort of figure out why is Google, or why are basically the people searching on Google not liking my site.
Right.
So that's where I sort of, had to dive into the whole conversion part of things.
Yeah.
And that was basically the extra step that got me back onto the top 3 and keeping me there.
Right. So in the group, we always say 1, 5, 6, 7, which means something for us. It's technique 1, area 1, and area 5, area 6, area 7. Those are the keys to ranking. Those are the main ranking factors right there that we've scientifically proven. And so once you join the group, you'll find out what that is, and you'll be like, oh, that's it. Okay. By the way, none of that is links. By the way, none of that is links. Yeah, and another thing you said that I thought was interesting is that you got put back in the loser spot of 7, 8, and 9. For our group, the losing spots is still on page 1. It's 7, 8, and 9. We're like, that's not good enough. We can get north of 5. We can get spots of 1 to 3 for sure. So, yeah. So I think that was interesting as well. So then you brought it back. You're ranking again. So so I'm curious. What was the decision to sell the site? Why didn't you just keep the site running? Because it was making good money, right? You were making like $20K a month or so.
Yeah.
What made you decide to sell it at that point?
Well, 2 things basically. The first one is the topic of the site. I was tired of it. I didn't want to talk about finance anymore. I was I had 5 years of it, so I was done. The second thing was also the challenge was a bit over.
I see.
And I'm always looking for a challenge. So it was sort of sitting there doing well. And to be honest, I could like maybe 5x the site, but I had to make more content, brief all my writers again on the same stuff. So I was sort of feeling, a bit like Groundhog Day,
Mm.
everything again and again. So
Yeah.
then I sort of decided, let's see if I can and sell this. But it was doing so well, the site becomes expensive. You have to like use a factor or like 20 or 30 times your month revenue.
Hmm.
So the site becomes like an expensive asset. And in Holland, there are not too many people, sitting on that amount of cash to pay for this.
Right.
So eventually, I was lucky because like a non-Dutch company approached me,
Hmm.
and they basically from Europe, and they are a network of all sorts of finance affiliate sites across Europe. They're huge now,
Right.
and they had they have so much money. They just like put it, they throw it in the air like that. So
Right.
they did me an offer, and I basically did an offer again to them, and then I could bring it up to half a mil. So I was super happy with that. I have a mortgage. I need to like pay off a bit of the mortgage because it's quite high.
Yes.
I have 2 kids in school, and I also wanted to start a new challenge. So for me, it was good to have like a big lot of money in the bank and do new stuff. Yeah, and
Right.
pay off debt. Yeah.
That's so. How does it feel? 0.5 million. How does it feel?
Oof, yeah, I popped the champagne bottle with my girlfriend. Yeah, it feels really good. It feels like, to be honest, the money is all digital in the bank, and I still wear the same clothes. So for me, it
Right.
doesn't really matter. But it feels like accomplishment. It feels like all the hard work working on the topic I'm not really liking that much paid off.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, if I was not able to sell the site in my personal situation, I would have been a little bit sad. But I'm super happy that it worked out, and I'm
Yeah.
super happy that I got it there. So
Oh, I
yeah.
guarantee if you have an affiliate site making 20K a month, you can sell it. I guarantee you can find a website selling forum that somebody will buy it. Maybe not for 0.5
Yeah,
million, but somebody will buy it. I
yeah,
guarantee. Yeah. So
yeah, yeah. So I had the multiple is very high because they wanted to go for 400K.
mhm.
But I wanted to ramp it up because I had a few months before I got hit by the algo update where I did like 25 to 30K. And, I said to the guys, the site has proven it can do better, so I want like a multiple that multiplies on that amount of revenue. So they agreed, and because for them it doesn't really matter. So eventually they just wanted the site, and they wanted a good position in Holland, a good footprint, and now they have it.
Right, right. And so, how much did being part of a robust science group play into your decision? Like, well, I built this back up in only a few months. I'm tired of finance, and it's not really challenging anymore. SEO is easy at this point. Conceptually, it's still a lot of work, but easy. Why don't I sell it and do another site maybe? How much being part of a robust science group helped you in that decision?
Yeah, a lot, because now I can use the same knowledge I have and project it on another site, and that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment. So
Okay, so
I
what's the new vertical you're going into?
well, I have a few. It's also not very sexy. It's insurance. So
No, that's
but
smart. That's where the money is, right? That's where
yeah,
the money is, right?
but it's a different type of thing, and it's also something I didn't talk about on the other side. The other website was more about brokers and loans and how
Mm,
to make money online, and
mm-hmm,
this is more how to get your insurance stuff sorted out better.
mm-hmm.
So basically comparing, that's always the thing I'm doing, is comparing different types of brands,
Yeah,
and promoting specific ones a bit more. But yeah, so that's one. And I'm also into like VPNs. So yeah, it's a quite a popular topic, but it's also something that's a little bit more to my heart because I'm a bit of a computer nerd.
okay.
And And VPNs is something that I like to block out Big Brother,
Mm-hmm.
and VPNs is also something that you compare products really well. And the cool thing about VPNs and all their affiliate models is they have recurring revenues.
Okay.
So if you there are some of them out there. If you sell you bring in some leads and they convert, you keep on earning money from those people if they stay on board with the VPN service. So yeah, those two are the ones that I'm focusing at the moment.
Yeah, that's cool. And I imagine that the science group helps you in a number of ways. I imagine, how much did it help the sale when you told them that you had a science-based SEO and that's how you recovered it, and there's science-based SEO based on your site? Did that affect the sale of the 0.5 million site at all?
Yeah. So what I said to the buyer, because they had to do a lot of due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to go into
Of
the
course, it's
site.
half a million
Yeah.
euros.
Yeah, took a lot of time for them to sort of really go through it with their programmer and the tech guys.
Yeah.
Um, but they eventually also that's also a little bit of maybe the downside of selling my site with all the knowledge I got from your group, is that they sort of have the same knowledge now as well.
It doesn't matter. A
But not
snap.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, people are trying to sniff out our stuff all the time. Somebody literally emailed one of my clients and said, "Are you a client of Josh Bashinsky?" And they forwarded it to me. They're like, "What am I supposed to say to this?" I'm like, "Tell them no." Like, people are sussing out my clients and they're trying to reverse engineer what the group does from those pages.
Yeah.
That's not. Just join the fucking group, right?
Yeah,
It's $244 for a month. Just join the group and see what we do, and then your eyes will explode like Rene's did, and then you'll be here forever. You'll be like, oh, okay, I need this. This is the SEO crack. Or not, or join and then just see what we're doing. You will learn so much more and better than trying to reverse engineer the sneaky stuff I'm doing on certain pages that is like 10% of what you need to do, or maybe not what you need to do at all. Have you ever considered that the AI might want different things in different niches? Whoa, you never know. So you're never going to be able to reverse engineer what's going on. So I don't care if they saw the whole thing. I don't care if you tried to explain it to them, right? It's so complicated at this point, or it's complex enough at this point that you can't just, programmers are like, yeah, I get it. No, you don't. Like, you have to understand these different scientific theories and how this is working, the scales of this and the thresholds of that. So I don't care. I don't care that they got the whole picture of that, because that'll have to be adjusted in 4 to 5 months anyway, right? So
yeah, everything changes. So that's also the reason why I'm still in the group, because I see when Bird came along, I was also a bit like, my site kept on going really well because I had really good conversion data for Google.
Mm-hmm.
So from that sense, it was all good. But Bird is like hitting a lot of sites, and I know that Bird is not the last thing. There's so much more coming. I know it because Google, those guys are so smart. They try to figure something out that's on top of Bird, and they layer everything. It's crazy. So eventually, it's also a necessity for me to keep staying on board, because I am too lazy to do like the super granular test that you are doing.
Right.
So then I sort of wait for your update. It's okay. What has Josh figured out now? And then he comes up with this new thing, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. That's it's crazy. When Google makes a change, I'm like, there's a disturbance in the force. Like, I know something's not right. We're not all ranking number 1 anymore. And we're supposed to all rank number 1, and we usually do. Yeah. So it's like, then I have to, I'm going mad testing stuff. So, but that's a great technique that you have. It's like, you could build up a new site, you can go into a new niche, it's more interesting, build it up so it's making money per month, and then sell it, and then build up another one, using the new techniques, and leverage maybe your old sites maybe a little bit in some regard if you want to do it that way, and then build it up and then sell that one too. And then that way you've got money in the bank and then you can earn interest on that, right? You can start doing stocks and dividends and things like that over there. And then you can keep building up sites. And so you can have 2 or 3 or 4 sites coming up. And then that's really the way that if you want to retire by the time you're like 40 or whatever, or 45 or something, that's really the way to do it. Just stick in the science group that tells you what the new stuff is going on, and you'll have much better success. Let's see what kind of questions people have over here. Oliver says, yeah, it seems like core updates are related to quality algorithms. You're right. You're entirely right. They are, but there's more. They always layer stuff underneath, as Rene said. They're always layering new stuff underneath and making changes, and they're releasing anti-SEO algorithms. They listen to all the other public groups. That's another reason why we're not talking about any of our techniques. And I never talk about the techniques anymore because Google listens. Google listens to the SEOs. That's part of what John Mueller's job is, and those webmaster trends analysts over in Zurich. And they have more. They have Andre Lepotsev is in Dublin, or he was. I haven't heard from him for many years. And their job is to listen to what we SEOs talk about and then make algorithms to catch them. So, Cora, Pop, all those guys, Clint, all those guys, SEO Rockstars, all those guys, they listen to all those guys. I know for a fact that they do. Because I've seen Google put out algorithms. I'm like, wow, this is really going to hurt the Pop users. I'm like, ugh. Sorry, Kyle, but I could see Google making specific targeted changes to screw Cora and to screw Pop and to screw those guys. And so I'm like, So they do listen to all the public stuff, which is why we don't talk publicly about it anymore. Kimberly says, what are your thoughts on the rank and rent model? I don't like the rank and rent model because it's a public technique that everyone has done that Google knows about. You never want to be doing yesterday's tactics in terms of both SEO, but in terms of your business model as well. You never want to be doing yesterday's tactics. Rank and rent is very difficult. To make it work properly, you have to look like a real site, a real business. And how are you going to service customers as a car wash or whatever it is, or as a cleaning service? How are you going to accept conversions, right? Like that gets really hairy. You're going to get them converting on your site, and then you're going to refund them in the back end so Google doesn't see, and then that's not going to be good. You're not going to have. There's all kinds of quality numbers Google can play with, and you're going to be very bad on a number of them. So I don't like rank and rent sites. I don't like the techniques of yesteryear, except for the tried and true ones like this. Make a site, build it up, get it ranking number 1, prove that it makes a large amount per month. Either live off that if you want for a while. I had an affiliate site I was living off for years. I was playing Xbox, and my skin cream site was making 30 grand a month, and I got lazy. I should have been making more sites at the time, but I was like, screw it. If I could sit in my condo on a golf course up at Bear Mountain, if I could be playing Xbox and watching golfers go by my house, I'll do that, And so I got lazy, I have to admit. And so, getting lazy means Google's going to nab you with an update. Google didn't never nabbed me. That was a case where the affiliate company stopped paying out because they're like, why is Josh making so much money? I made too much money. They stopped paying out. So that was the problem there. It was still ranking on page 1, number 1 for some queries for a long while after that, and just not making any money because they wouldn't pay me. So I'm like, what do I do with this? I can't. Do I convert it to a different skin cream? Like I was in the process of trying to sell it, but then I couldn't prove the revenue because they stopped paying me, right? So I'm like, oh, how do I sell this thing? So it's another good thing with affiliate to mitigate your risk. And Rene is very smart in selling the site again because he seemed to pick a good company that kept paying out. But Rene, what if they stopped paying you, right? What if they sold to something else, or they decided not to pay out their affiliates anymore, or whatever? That can happen to you, and you're in trouble all the time. So it's really smart that you decided to sell when you did, and then just start another one, and then mitigate your risk by selling it again. Would you agree, Rene?
Yeah, definitely. And it's also when it comes to affiliate products or services, you really have to make sure that you're not going for a product that is sort of dependent on the season or very cyclical, because I had also like a loans vertical in the website. And what happened is that all the banks that were getting leads from me, eventually they had so many that they were like sort of saturated.
Yeah.
So they were like, Rene, we have to pause the program for a while because we have so many leads. We need to follow up on all the leads. And then they paused it for like 3 months. And for them it's good, but for me it's bad.
Yeah.
So you need to find also a affiliate, um, uh, like an advertiser or like an affiliate network that's connected to the good advertisers that can keep on processing your leads. So
Yeah.
not just pause the program or say, we're going on a holiday or whatever. So yeah, that's also what I had with the loans, and then I started all the brokers, because if you add the brokers, then everybody's trading all day, every day, except for the weekends. But that's something that goes on and on and on. So
Yeah.
it's a good product to promote, but yeah, it's a fierce competition as well.
Yeah, and that's the other that there's a couple problems there. So remind me about negative SEO after. But what you say about the affiliate companies is so important. There's tons of ways to make money by ranking a website. The other thing I wanted to say is that now that you are so expert in doing SEO in general from the scientific training, but also in the finance niches in particular, if you want to get an in-house SEO job and just be like, okay, I have babies, I don't want this risk anymore. I want a common job where I'm pretty sure I know I'm going to be working day in, day out. You could get an in-house SEO job like that, right? With our science-based knowledge, you could be like, yeah, sure. Like you can get an in-house SEO job like that. And there's tons of students in the group who are in-house SEOs, and they just stay in the group and listen to all the changes, and they go to their CEO and says, no, they can speak with authority to the CEO. No, not like that. Like this, like this, like this, like this. And they can take my scientific proof and show it to them to prove it, right? As opposed to all the other guessios who are like, Google says, like, and their CEOs are pulling their hair out because they're so pissed off at them because the CEOs know that Google's screwing them, but there's nothing the CEO can do, right? Because they don't know there's a science group, and the SEO is not going to tell them because they're not part of it. So, they're going to talk, and they want to go to the SEO Moz conference every year because they want to go to Seattle. Not now because of stupid COVID, but, there's conferences in SEO as well, and there's like a party scene, and people like to do that. So I don't know if you've ever been to them. A big hookup party scene going on there. So if you're into that kind of thing, when COVID is not around anymore, but yeah, and so it's really important, I think, to have the SEO foo, the science foo under your belt, so you could even go and do in-house stuff. That opens up so many doors for you at that point that you don't even have to find a good affiliate company. And to find a good affiliate company, what Rene said is brilliant. You're right. You want to stick with products that are not seasonal, that people always want. And if you're going to go product based, this is what I would do. I would build a bigger blog site that you reviewed all the major skin creams, and you review all the major weight loss pills, and you review all the major herbal Viagra pills, and you review all of them. And so if one decides not to pay out anymore or goes under or whatever, you can just 301 that page to a similar competitor. And then you have and a bigger site tends to rank better as well. Sorry, it doesn't have to be, but tends to. If you do certain things right. So, although it takes way more time. So if you want to do it that way, that's a safer way of doing it. And here's another tip that I strongly recommend. Call them. Call the affiliate company on the phone and talk with them, or pick one that's in your city. I did SEO for a company called Cell Health here in Victoria for years. And so I knew them all personally. I'd ask them, are our products any good? Really? They're like, yeah, they actually work. Here we have studies from India. We actually have Look at these actual studies. This study cost us $100,000, but we proved that it actually works. I was like, wow, that's cool. Find the affiliate companies that go the extra mile because they love their affiliates. Cell Health is one of them. I can vouch for them personally. I've worked with them. I moved out of the city, but they used to be literally just blocks from me. I could walk there. And I know them all personally. And so call them on the phone and ask them. Call Bruce on the phone or call Michael at Cell Health on the phone and say, hey, man, I'm just starting out. I don't want to get screwed. What product is really selling right now? What should I focus on? What is super saturated? What product should I stay away from? And they'll tell you. They'll say, yeah, the boob cream. We're moving away from the boob cream. Women don't seem to like it, so don't try that one. But our herbal Viagra pills, they sell all kind of nasty stuff like that. Our herbal Viagra pills are selling well, continue to sell well, will always sell well. People always want some kind of Viagra alternative. And so then you can jump in on that and jump in on their best products, but that's saturated. So try our sub product that's new or coming out with it and try this one out, or try a new product that they haven't released yet that no one's ranking for yet, that's gold. With our science-based techniques, you could get ranking number 1 for that super easy. And then it's like, you just start making money, and then everyone else is playing catch up to try to get to you, right? And then talking about negative SEO, that's also possibly negative SEO in affiliate stuff for sure. If you were ranking number 1 for Vigorx Plus, which was their herbal Viagra pill, if you're ranking number 1 or 2 or 3 for that, you are going to get DDoSed. You're going to get people trying to hack you from Israel and people trying to hack you from Russia. Like these guys are making 200, 400 grand a month, US. And so with that kind of money comes that kind of risk, right? Like not just like, I'm going to point negative links at your site. That doesn't help. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't do any negative SEO. Google can handle that. No, they're going to hire someone from Israel, and they're going to hack your site. They're going to hire a Russian to hack your site and DDoS the hell out of you. So there's the other thing, in that once you've made a 200 grand on this new product, sell it. Sell the site right away and say, projected over the year, it'll make $1 million. I'll take 0.8 million. Boom, sell it. That's not your headache anymore, right? That's another way to do it. Before someone decides to DDoS you, sell it and then start something else.
Yeah, it was also one of the reasons why I wanted to sell the site. It was becoming too big. I had also a Japanese keyword hacker on my site who changed all my titles with Japanese text, and the whole site tanked again. This was 2 months ago, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was in the midst of the due diligence with the buyer. Oh man, it was also a nightmare. So what I then did, I basically, you know what they did? For some reason, they got into my search console and they uploaded like a gazillion new sitemaps, and they they basically want good sites with a lot of traffic, and then they put sitemaps on your search console to index their pages, and it's a nasty thing. It probably works, but I got the site tanked again for 2 or 3 days. I fixed everything. I have backups, of course, running every day, so I just used the backup and did a lot of stuff with my programmer, and it got back again. And that's also something I want Google to credit, because they knew the authority of my site. They recognized I had like Japanese text on the site and I was hacked. But when I fixed it all, Google was also able to recognize it was fixed and bring me back in all the top 3 spots again. So that's also something that I'm happy about now, because 5 or 10 years ago, Google was not able to do that. You would stay on top in the spot number 100, So now they have some sort of a memory of who you are if you're gone for a few days. But it's so much stress. If your site becomes big, in Holland we have a saying, high trees get a lot of wind. So as soon as you're up in the high tree, then there's a lot of wind, and you need to sort of,
That's a neat saying. I've never heard that before. I like that.
I translated now, but it's something like that.
Yeah. Is that, do you know what the etymology of that is? Like what culture that comes from? Is that?
I'm not sure, but it has something to do with, if you're out there, if you're speaking out a lot and you get noticed, basically that's sort of the moral story.
Yes, I can attest to that. The more I open my mouth, the more flack I get. I could. Apparently, I'm a high tree. I'm high something. Mark says, maybe I missed it, but did you lose much of that 3K per day traffic with the update? Yes, he did. He lost just about all of it, right, Rene?
Yeah. Well, I was I was still ranking for a few meaningless keywords, but
And that's what they do.
Money keywords were gone.
Yeah, that's what they do. And if that's exactly what happens, you know exactly what they did. You know exactly what algorithm it was that hit you, and so you know exactly how you can fix it if you have science on your side. Deidre says, how to get a web page crawled ASAP now that Webmaster Tools crawl isn't working? So that's a great question, Deidre. Sitemap XML is your best bet. That's it. You need a sitemap XML. Make sure you upload it in Search Console. The more poor ranking, lower quality, lower relevance, badly scoring in BERT your site is, the longer it will take for that page to be indexed, if it will even ever be indexed. So if that's what's happening, again, that's another diagnostic point that our group knows exactly what's going on and what you need to fix and what you need to do there. Oliver kisses my butt. He says, Josh, you're the greatest SEO alive. I have full appreciation for what you do. Thank you, Oliver. I appreciate that. So as I was saying before, if you too want to learn the science ways that actually work and are so good, you could sell a site for €500,000 potentially, or sell two for 400,000. You could join the group now. I'm opening it up for a little bit. It's $244 because of COVID. By all means, email me at joshpaczynski@gmail.com so I can send you back our interview questions to make sure that you're a good fit for the group. I don't just let anybody in. And if you have any final questions here for Rene and myself, I don't want to keep Rene forever because he was nice enough to do this interview. Fire in your final questions now. And while you guys are firing in your final questions, Rene, do you have any final things you want to say? Any final words of wisdom or?
Well,
if you could tell your younger self if you could tell your younger self something about what you know now or what you're doing now, what would you say?
I would say something like, when it comes to, if you are trying to, not beat, but if you want to get into a position with Google or any sort of tech-based type of thing, software, whatever, you need to be able to think like them in a different way. You need to be able to basically be Google, but then like outside the Google company.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it feels like in the group we are scientists that are behind the one-way mirror, looking onto some sort of operation where like doctors are working like the Google guys.
Yes.
And we are looking at what they are doing. So that's basically, and then you have to think about them, like them. You
Yes.
have to think a little bit like them instead of sort of, don't go with gut feelings, because there is no gut feeling at Google.
Yeah.
Those people are making rational decisions. So if you are an SEO, you need to be super rational and you don't need to be emotional. It's not an emotional game. It's a super rational game.
Right. That's one of the best things I've heard all year. Yeah, it's not an emotional thing. It's a rational thing. Google is a rational company. You need to understand the algorithms they're putting out. And luckily, they've been putting out a lot more information lately that have been giving away secrets that are pissing me off because they're talking about that they're very proud of BERT. They're very proud of some other things they recently put out, which we took advantage of. And it's just crazy what you can do now with the different things, the tools that we have access to, what we can do now. And with GPT-3, their cousin algorithm also being released, and OpenAI releasing that as well. There's only like 2,000 people in that group. We are currently building a tool based on that for content analysis and for Google analysis and whatnot. So now is the time to join, right? Now is the golden age. I always kick myself like when Bitcoin came out. I'm old, so like back in the 90s, this web thing was coming out, and I was fixing computers for the University of Winnipeg at the time. That was my first job, right out of high school, I took a community college certificate for 1 year. Then right out of that, and I'm fixing computers, and they're like, "Have you heard about this web thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mozilla and this thing, and you download it. It's kind of cool." And I taught myself HTML and JavaScript so that I could teach them at the university because I knew all the professors because I fixed their computers, and so I could get in to teach courses, right? And which was like $50 an hour, which was at the time that was like a lot of money, right? $50 an hour, like woohoo! They're paying me like $19 an hour to fix computers or something like that. And so then I just upgrade your skills, and it's always about being in the right place at the right time. And I was just like 6 months too late to have my own version of Google, or 6 months too late to have my own version of, some big web thing. I was just slightly behind it. And my programmer friend there, Scott Balneves, he had programmed a full e-commerce package in C++, in C. because he was a C programmer, a Linux and a Unix and C programmer. He built it all in C, compiled the whole thing, and he had an e-commerce package like in 1997. He wanted to sell to like, I think he sold it to like IBM or something, like some big company who sat on it, and because it wasn't quite ready yet, but like he was there. You want to be the guy who's there. You want to be the guy or gal who's right there, right? And then when Bitcoin came out, somebody offered me a full Bitcoin to audit their site. And I'm like, no, I don't want a Bitcoin. Never mind. This is all bullshit. I'm kind of kicking myself now because like, what is it worth? Like 15 grand now, 16 grand now. I mean, whoop-de-doo. I mean, it's 15 for people in our group. $15,000 is not that much money actually. So we're like, man, who cares? But if I had bought 1,000 Bitcoins at the time, that's a lot of money. That's like 1.5, 1.6 million. You know, then I cash out. You know, and that's it's twice the worth of my house. And at least I can invest that and have a little extra money on the side or something. But now AI, that's my point, is that AI, this new GPT-3, this new transformer AI is just come out. It's doing all that crazy writing you guys are hearing about on the news where the AI is writing stories and writing stuff. That's GPT-3 that they're playing with. BERT is an analogous transformer algorithm. It's a bidirectional transformer, whereas GPT-3 is omnidirectional, I believe. So that means BERT will look at the words backwards and forwards for word patterns. GPT-3 will look at the word patterns all over the place, up, down, left, right. Like imagine like looking at text, it'll match patterns around it. BERT is much more specific, and so Google's doing something very specific there. It'll match patterns this way and this way on the line, but only so far. So it's very interesting what's going on there. You gotta get on the ground floor of this stuff because once this takes off, the next version, Rene, you tell me if you agree with what I'm about to say. The next version of the AI that's gonna come out, GPT-4 with a trillion data points, or BERT with however many trillion data points it has, the next version of this algorithm is going to be unfathomable to human beings. Like we will not be able to reverse engineer it unless we already kind of know what's going on and have been on the ground floor already. Everybody else in the industry is going to be in some serious trouble. Rene, would you say it's a fair statement? Probably.
Yeah, I suspect something like that in the future. Yeah, it's a matter of time.
Yes. So we exist at we are going to keep existing like cockroaches in the nuclear fire because we can eat anything because we know what's going on, right? We already know what's going on, and so much other SEO is going to be destroyed that Google, I hope, at some point, is just going to start leaving us alone because Google only bothers with the SEO industry right now because we cut out of their profits so much. When they get rid of most other SEOs and it's just the hardcore science group doing SEO, the world will be our oyster. There will be millions of dollars for us to make, and Google will more or less leave us alone and leave things alone because they don't have to worry about us anymore because we're not cutting into their profits in any noticeably visible way, right? Like we're like a blip, a tiny little blip on the radar. They'll be dealing with the government. They'll be dealing with aliens. I don't know what they'll be dealing with at that point, but they'll be dealing with other stuff, right? So now is the time to get on the train. If you do not get on the train now, forget it. Go to some other industry because it's just SEO is done. It started 99. It's closing now to be like a closed thing where you got to be in a closed group. There's no more public information that's even worth listening to anymore. I don't even listen to what Google says anymore until a student says, no, they said something interesting here, and then I go and listen to it. But yeah. So anyway, let's see if we have any final questions here.
I also wanted to say something that when it comes to all like the so-called experts out there, they say a lot of new things as well. But when they say new things, they often derive all that knowledge from existing big authority websites. And if you have a big authority website, almost anything that you're putting out there will rank. So they don't have a solid sort of backbone when it comes to their story because they always use the same big sites.
Yeah.
If you have a fairly new site or a site that's sort of struggling, you're screwed basically.
Yes.
So they will never use that to sell their new tips. They always use big authority sites. So keep that in mind.
Right.
I say this to everyone that's in SEO as well here in Holland. Don't listen to those guys because they don't have the sites that you have. So
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're doing SEO for Walmart here in the
Yeah,
States or
exactly.
Canada,
Yeah.
it is a totally different job and a totally different ball game. You have to care about, we all have to care about sitemaps now because of what Google did, but they have to care about indexation rates, and they have to care about quality code, and they have to care about schema and things that have nothing to do with SEO, nothing to do with what Rene had to do to build this site up when it crashed and then to build it back. Absolutely nothing to do there. So it's a day and night difference. You can apply for those jobs from my group. One guy moved from Africa to Ireland because he got a major in-house SEO job from the group, and a lot of people have been doing that. Um, but it is a totally, it's like you come to the group and you learn medicine in general, and you could specialize into the heart, you could specialize into the liver, as opposed to those guys who just know a little bit about, like a little bit about how the heart works in terms of like reading blog articles, like make sure you're eating your omega-3s. I ate my omega-3s today, I guess I'll rank great. Like they have no idea how that works or why that works or those kinds of things. So let's see what kind of questions we have here. Kimberly says, is it possible to rank a site local with no links in a medium competition city? Sure. I can definitively say yes for sure, because you didn't ask which keywords, right? Yeah, you could rank all day long for long tail keywords that way, and you can rank even for middle tail keywords that way. Head terms, you probably could rank for those too without links. Links are not the signal everybody else says that they are. It's just because they're blurring links with another signal that Rene knows about, and that's why when they blur those, then they think it's the links that are working, but it's actually not. It's something much safer, much more powerful, and much easier to do than that. So that's where I will zip my lip there, but all right. There we go. I did it. I did it, Rene. I didn't release any of our secret stuff.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It is, because it's so cool. I want to talk about it, but I don't like the fact that we have to huddle into our bomb shelter and then just tell our friends in the bomb shelter what's going on now. But that's the way Google wanted it, so that's the way it is now, folks. You cannot trust any public information. You got to join a private group, one that is doing a unified scientific program, which explains how the algorithms work. Not just, is keyword density a ranking factor? Yes or no? That's not science. that is so far from science. That's not reliable information either. And that they made it public. So now if they did get a discovery, Google can go, oh, change it. Boop, and it's changed. Right? They press a button, it's changed. So that's no good. All right. Well, I'd like to thank Rene. Everyone, please in chat, thanks Rene for coming on and being part of the interview. Congratulations, Rene, on that site. That's fantastic. I couldn't be happier. I remember when you joined the group and you did ask a lot of questions, which is a good thing. And at first I thought, oh no, I don't think he's getting it. And I was like, I wasn't sure. But then I realized there was a method to your madness and to asking lots of questions, which is a good thing. That's exactly what I do when I join a new. I'm taking a hypnotherapy certification right now because I'm bored because of COVID, and I'm pestering the instructor with all kinds of questions about hypnosis and how it works and the science behind it and stuff like that, which is fascinating, by the way. I got into it because I heard that one major hypnotist said that Donald Trump uses hypnotic techniques in his speeches. And I'm like, how does that work? Because his base loves him. I'm like, 44% of that country will not deviate from their opinion of how great that guy is. I'm like, how does that work? So I've learned. I know exactly how it works now, and it's fascinating. So that can also help in SEO, by the way, in conversions anyway, in sales. So so it's fascinating. Anyway, so I ask a lot of questions too, so it's good that you came and asked a lot of questions. If you join the group, you should be asking a lot of questions. I have two kind of students that worry me. Ones that are asking too many questions, they don't seem they're getting it, or ones that don't ask any questions at all. And those are the guys who just are not made for SEO, and they see how complicated it is, and I don't have a minimum buy-in. Like, you could pay for a month and leave if you want. So come and try. Like, just come and see what the group is about. Don't try to reverse engineer my pages, and please stop emailing my clients. Please, would you please stop emailing my clients? It's not a good thing. So, like I said, we have the sale on right now, $244 a month. Email me at joshbrzezinski@gmail.com, and we'll see if it's a good fit for you to join the group. Thanks again, Rene, for jumping on and being with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Good luck, all you guys. Good luck in the SERPs. And we will see you. Oh, I see two more questions. Dave says, I think GPT-3 is factored into keyword tool, i.e., how close do you think content topic relationships in Google keyword tool suggestions based on your seeds match how they connect in the algorithms? That's a great question there, Dave. Do you just have a couple more seconds there, Rene? You can jump off too if you don't have time.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. That's a great question there, Dave. Yes, there is a relation. And you can't just use GPT-3 alone and hammer keywords into it and assume that it's going to tell you the right stuff. But it's in the ballpark, right? And it tells you how a transformer AI thinks. And once you learn how a transformer AI thinks, you give it knock knock, it says who's there? Question mark. It knows the response to that common phrase, right? So now that you know how that works, then you can apply that to go back and apply that to Google and change your scientific testing and change your tools you're using, and you can realize what you're supposed to do there, which is what we did. And we've had some major boost recently. People shooting up major spots. Deidre says, and this will be the last question. Hey Josh, having problem with my client businesses not showing up in random Google Map browse. They show in the correct category or direct name search. Also, is GMB addressed in your membership? Yeah, we talk about GMB a little bit. We have people on there who are experts in GMB for sure. So you definitely can ask any questions there you want. GMB is a very simple beast. If you do it right, it'll work. And if you stray from that knife edge just even a little bit, suddenly Google gives you problems. And it is related to your website ranking as well. So we focus more on informational, general website ranking, but we do have experts in GMB, so you can definitely go and ask questions there, and they will answer it eventually. All right, folks. Well, thanks very much. Thanks, Rene, for being here. And as I always say, good luck in the SERPs, and we will see you guys soon. Ta-ta till then.